Hello and a warm welcome to Federal's special program, Capital Beat. It's been another dramatic day in Parliament with Home Minister Amit Shah saying that he's ready for a discussion and that he'll be available in the Lok Sabha from 3 p.m. onwards if the opposition wants to have a discussion. And before that, he also said that the opposition should give it in writing to the Speaker that they are ready for a discussion. I will be available for a discussion, and for next 24 hours, the discussion can take place, and I will give all what you need from me. I will try and explain what the situation is. To which Rahul Gandhi was not agreeing. He apparently said that we need specific answers, and we are not going to listen to what Amit Shah's general statements will be. And also inside the house, when the Lok Sabha convened, we saw placards being played by the opposition members who insisted on the discussion on both issues, that is the students' protest and also the Ram Temple theft issue. But at around 2 p.m., what happened was that the Foreign Contribution Regulation Amendment Bill 2026 was referred to a Joint Parliamentary Committee, and the centre moved a motion in the Lok Sabha by MoS Home Nityanand Rai, and amidst fierce protests and objections from the opposition MPs. In fact, the motion was accepted through a voice vote. Akhilesh Yadav and Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiren Rijiju apparently they engaged in a sharp face-off over the opposition's allegation that the proposed legislation targets the minorities. Yadav said that the entire opposition opposed the bill and asked which bill has this government brought so far that was not against the minorities. In fact, Kiren Rijiju then hit back by challenging Yadav to point out a single provision that targets the minorities, saying that the opposition was misleading the House. Now, if you look at both the issues, we'll try and play out for you all what happened since morning today in Parliament. But amidst this din, now what happens to the accountability as far as the students' protest is concerned? How will opposition now ask for a rollback? Though KC Venugopal stood from his seat and he said that we had demanded a rollback of the FCRA bill and now it has been sent to the JPC. In fact, TR Balu also spoke in the same way. So now the question is that has the government really wriggled out of this tight corner in which it had got boxed into because of the students' protest? And now very cleverly they brought in an FCRA bill, they moved a motion, sent it to the JPC. So now everything looks like in a cold storage. What is the opposition going to do next? We'll try and answer these questions. But before that, I would like to play out as to what happened in Parliament since morning. Let's first play out what Amit Shah said. If you remember, Amit Shah hasn't spoken at all to the media since the police crackdown, which happened on 20th July. And all of a sudden, today we saw him giving bites to PTI and ANI. Only two channels, that is the news agencies, PTI and ANI. Let's listen into what Amit Shah had to say.
आप क्या कुछ कहेंगे इस विषय में?
देखिए, सबसे पहले तो लापता, भाग गए, भगोड़े हैं, इस प्रकार की भाषा भारत की सार्वजनिक जीवन में और संसदीय जीवन में अभी अभी सुनाई पड़ती है। जब से संसद सत्र शुरू हुआ तब से लगातार मैं संसद में आता हूं, मेरी चैम्बर में बैठा हूं। चूंकि संसद भवन के अंदर विपक्ष संसद को चलने ही नहीं दे रहा है, दोनों गृहों में, तो कोई जाकर क्या करेगा? जहां तक चर्चा का सवाल है, सरकार की ओर से किरण रिजिजू जी ने, जो हमारे पार्लियामेंट्री अफेयर्स मिनिस्टर है, उन्होंने बहुत स्पष्ट कर दिया है कि जो नीट आंदोलन के छात्र प्रदर्शन पर सभी प्रकार की चर्चा करने के लिए सरकार तैयार है और चर्चा के लिए समय सुनिश्चित किया जाए और विपक्ष तैयार हो जाए। पहले तो ये यही मांग कर रहे थे, हमने हाँ बोल दिया। मेरी ओर से भी मैंने कह दिया है कि मैं किसी भी सवाल का जवाब देने के लिए संसद में तैयार हूं, मगर वो चर्चा ही नहीं होने देना चाहते। अब जनता तय करे कौन भाग रहा है। आज भी मैं कहता हूं, आज 3 बजे तक स्पीकर साहब को वो पत्र दे दे, 3 बजे से लेकर कल 3 बजे तक सभी प्रकार की चर्चा के लिए हम तैयार हैं। मैं सदन में ही बैठूंगा, सबको सुनूंगा, और सब चीजों का जवाब दूंगा।
So that was Home Minister Amit Shah. And after that, what Rahul Gandhi responded, I want to play out that response as well. What Rahul Gandhi had to say. Let's play out.
बाकी opposition ने clearly बोला है, we are not interested in listening to Mr. Amit Shah's imagination. We are not interested in him giving us a lecture or a discussion. We are interested in one simple thing. And when I say we, I mean the younger generation of this country. Who shot those students? Who gave the order to shoot those students? Who blinded one of the students? Who shot one of the students in the ear? Who gave the order to beat us with lathis, with nails? Who gave that order? That order was implemented by the Home Ministry. Delhi Police and RAC are both Home Ministry systems. Did Mr. Amit Shah give this order to shoot our children?
Rahul Gandhi has clearly said that he's not ready to listen to the general comments of Amit Shah, whereas Amit Shah said that if the opposition is ready to discuss, I'm ready to take up the issue and reply everything whatever opposition wants. So now the question is, where does it leave this issue of students' protest? That is question number one. Now I want to play out what happened in Lok Sabha when the motion for the FCRA bill was moved. It was a complete din because Nityanand Rai had moved the motion, and then by a voice vote, the motion was passed. Now the bill has been sent to the JPC, but look at the confusion and the din which happened inside the house because KC Venugopal spoke, after which Akhilesh Yadav, TR Balu, everyone spoke. So let's play out those scenes for you. And just to give you an idea as to what happened as far as the FCRA bill is concerned, and then we'll continue with our discussion. Let's play that out for the viewers.
मैं चुनौती देता हूं, इस FCRA बिल का जो प्रावधान आया है, इसमें एक भी प्रावधान ऐसा है आप दिखाइए जो कोई भी माइनॉरिटी का खिलाफ है। ये सर सरासर झूठ बात फैलाया जा रहा है देश में। किसी माइनॉरिटी को टारगेट करने का सवाल ही नहीं है। आप चाहते कि विदेश का धन बिना कानून के ऐसा ही देश में ला करके मर्जी खर्चा करने का क्या? This country is not a banana republic. There should be rules and regulations as per the spirit of the Constitution. There is not a single provision in the proposed FCRA targeting any minority institutions. There is a campaign to mislead certain communities. I take full responsibility to ensure that not a single provision is against any minority community. This is for the well-being of the security of every community of India.
That was Kiren Rijiju, after which KC Venugopal spoke. Let's hear him. Yeah.
Just now we got an information. The bill is circulated for moving a resolution from the government on FCRA in the name of Honorable Amit Shah ji. Sir, this legislation is clearly for targeting NGOs and minority institutions, those who are doing good work. One side, RSS is getting complete donation from the foreign countries. On one side, RSS is getting. On the other side, government is trying to target the minorities and NGOs. The government should withdraw this bill. The government should withdraw this bill. We demand for the withdrawal.
So after this, Akhilesh Yadav also spoke. Bharani, if you're there backstage, if you can have a play out of what Akhilesh Yadav also said. He took a dig, in fact, and said that it's already 2 o'clock or past 2. And somebody was supposed to come to the house by 3. So where is he? And that was a dig at Amit Shah. Let's listen into Akhilesh Yadav.
सभापति जी, बहुत लड़ने के बाद मुझे मौका मिला बोलने के लिए। मुझे तो लग रहा था कि 3 बजे तो बहस शुरू हो जाएगी। मैंने समय दिया। 3 बजे तो बाद 2 बजे भी कोई नहीं दिखाई दे रहा है यहाँ पर। धन्यवाद दीजिए ना कि सभापति महोदय, जो सरकार FCRA ला रही है, इसके खिलाफ में हम पूरे विपक्षी लोग हैं। और सभापति महोदय, जो माननीय मंत्री जी कह रहे हैं, नहीं माननीय मंत्री जी कह रहे हैं कि माइनॉरिटी के खिलाफ नहीं है। माननीय मंत्री जी बताएं, आज तक जो बिल लाए हैं बिना माइनॉरिटी के खिलाफ कौन सा बिल लेकर के आए हो आप?
So that was Akhilesh Yadav. Now we'll take up both the issues. Now there are two issues. One is, of course, the students' protest, and the other is the FCRA Bill. I'll begin with the FCRA Bill. Joining me this evening is political editor of the Federal, Puneet Nicholas Yadav. Puneet, thank you so much for joining. And how was this FCRA Bill listed, or was it part of the supplementary business? Because till yesterday there were reports, news reports, where it had already come out that the sources had already started saying that probably the FCRA bill will go to the JPC. But did we all know that it's going to be listed for today? The motion will be brought in today, Puneet?
Yeah, well, Neelu, the thing is, the session was anyway supposed to conclude tomorrow. So the government had either today or tomorrow to do this. The FCRA bill, additionally was also one of the 7 bills that had been mentioned by the government in the first agenda that was put out even before the session started. When a session is convened, the government puts out a broad tentative agenda of bills that it wants taken up in any session of parliament. So when they put out that list, the FCRA was there. So everyone knew, of course, that the FCRA bill will come during this session at some point or the other. Now, the last 3 weeks of this session anyway were completely washed out. So you had either today or tomorrow for this bill to be brought to the House and this reference to be made or not made. Yesterday in the Business Advisory Committee of the Rajya Sabha, this was discussed, and the opposition asked that, are you planning on, ask the government that whether you're planning on bringing this bill, because we in the opposition would want that bill to be withdrawn. And then there were 2 views. There were some in the opposition who were amenable to the idea of sending it to a committee for further scrutiny. There were others like the Congress party, like the Samajwadi party, who insisted that the bill should just be withdrawn and not be sent to any committee. And it should, just be taken back by the government. So now today, of course, in the supplementary list of business, which came shortly before 2 o'clock, the government listed this as a reference to be moved by the minister, although it was mentioned in Mr. Amit Shah's name, whose ministry is piloting this amendment. But as we have seen in the case of several other bills during this session, bills that were listed for Mr. Amit Shah never came to the House to move those bills. It was moved by Mr. Nityanand Rai, who's the MoS for Home Affairs, and Nityanand Rai moved this as well as the resolution for sending it to a JPC. And then, of course, there were objections raised by the opposition parties.
Right. But now Nityanand Rai moved the motion. Amit Shah was not in the House. Does the opposition now again get an opportunity to say, and this morning only Amit Shah said that this Bagoda and Lapata, these are the words which are not part of the parliamentary discourse. But then again, he's given an opportunity to the opposition to say the same, that he's evading the House, he's not come to the House. Had he really wanted to come to the House, Puneet, he would have easily moved the motion. What was stopping him from doing that?
Well, certainly. See, one, of course, doesn't condone any kind of language which is not parliamentary. But it's a bit rich for Mr. Amit Shah to be saying that, these are things that I have never heard before. This is a minister who, I distinctly remember when the controversy over the abrogation of Article 370 had happened. This was a minister who, on the floor of the House, spoke about Mr. Farooq Abdullah, a former chief minister of multiple terms of J&K, and a union minister, member of parliament of multiple terms, one of the senior most politicians in the country, who had been kept under detention at that point in time. And the opposition was raising questions on Mr. Abdullah's absence and his wrongful detention, so to speak. And Mr. Amit Shah had used this language on the floor of the house that unki kanpati pe banduk rakh ke kya hum house mein le aaye, or something like that, to
And
that
also,
effect.
not to forget,
There was another instance.
Yes.
There was another instance where Mr. Amit Shah had actually used a rather unparliamentary slang on the floor of the house, and that had to be expunged from the record after the opposition created a lot of noise over it. So for him to be saying, and after giving the opposition good reason for not attending the house for the last 3 weeks, completely evading the proceedings of both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha on an issue which was directly under the control of his ministry. The crackdown that happened on the students, on youth agitators on the 20th of July, the first day of monsoon session. To not come to the house for the last 3 weeks of this session to explain what exactly happened. And that's all that the opposition had been asking, that the minister should come and explain himself.
No, and also, Puneet,
Parliament is a forum for accountability as much as it is a platform for legislation.
No, but Puneet, if I'm not mistaken, we didn't see Amit Shah speaking at all to the cameras after the police crackdown happened. Isn't this the first day when he chose to give a soundbite to the chosen news agencies today?
Yeah, well, he's simply following what his boss, the Prime Minister, does. We have seen this happening time and time again on controversial issues when the Prime Minister, during a session, prefers to speak to, maybe the press, give a bite, or put out tweets, make statements outside the House on an issue which should ideally be discussed inside the House. Now, in the case of Mr. Amit Shah, he's of course replicating that same model. But what has also happened in this particular case, the government's argument is that the Home Minister comes to Parliament every day. He sits in Parliament from morning till evening. And so, saying that he doesn't come to Parliament is wrong. The point here is not whether you come to Parliament or not. The point is whether you're attending House proceedings. That is where accountability comes in. That is where you have to give a statement. If you're sitting you coming to the Parliament complex and sitting in your chambers, nobody really cares. You have to be on the floor of the House. That is where you're responsible. That is where you're asked questions. That is where you give explanations. And for him to say and hide behind this argument that I can't just go and give a statement. There are rules and procedures. There has to first be a discussion. Only then I can give a statement. Firstly, see, what the opposition is saying is that we are not, or as you heard Rahul Gandhi, that we don't want to hear his imagination and his lectures. What the opposition suspected was that if they did have a discussion, it would again come down to the Home Minister basically going back and forth about this happened during Nehru's time, this happened during the emergency, this is what happened in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, and using that whataboutery to justify what his government has done, or what his ministry, what the Delhi police, which reports to his ministry, has done today, as in on the 20th of July, has done now. That is not what the opposition has been demanding. The opposition and the leader of opposition in Lok Sabha, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, had two very specific questions on which the entire opposition unitedly asked for a statement. First, did the Home Ministry instruct the Delhi police and the Rapid Action Force to unleash the brutalities that the entire country saw on their TV screens and social media? If yes, then the Home Minister owes an explanation on that and also owes a resignation. If the Home Minister did not allow or did not give those instructions, and the Delhi police or the RAF was acting of its own volition without any orders, or somebody else gave those orders without the Home Minister actually having any knowledge about it, then it shows incompetence on part of the Home Minister that people working under him are working independently without him having any information about it. in which case he is incompetent, is what Mr. Rahul Gandhi says. Now, these were the limited 2 points on which the opposition demanded a statement. Now, of course, the government can still say, and I have no problems in the fact that you have a discussion. The opposition also asked for a discussion. What did the government do? In the first 3 days of the session or 5 days of the session, the government decided to bring in the public examinations bill and said, have a discussion on this bill, and during this discussion, you can talk about education. During that entire discussion, which went on for 2 days, the education minister did not speak. The home minister was not present in the house. The prime minister was not present in the house. So there were issues related to education reforms, exam reforms, police crackdown, which the house discussed during those 2 days. It's not as if those discussions haven't happened. So what is the point of now again going back and saying, okay, let us have a discussion? Because you had that opportunity when public examinations bill was discussed. The home minister could have come even at that point in time and given a statement or made his submissions about education or examination reforms. Why did he not do it at that point in time? Right. So this is unfortunate part of it is that the washout that we have seen over the last 3 weeks has allowed the government to escape accountability, has maybe given the opposition a chance to say that, see, the home minister, ran away from the house and did not explain himself, did not allow himself to be held accountable. But at the end of the day, the substantive issues of education reform, of examination reform, haven't been discussed anywhere.
Absolutely. No, but can we say that, if politically you have to analyze the situation now as it stands on both issues, whether it is the students' protest or it is the FCRA bill, does the government appear to be dodging on both the issues? And they've somehow managed to wriggle out that, okay, tomorrow anyways the parliament is ending, we will not have to answer on this and let the opposition continue to scream, we don't care. So is that the perception which goes out from here on?
Well, dodging for sure. I mean, they have been doing that. It doesn't come as a surprise to anybody, and I'm sure least of all the opposition. But see, what has happened with the FCRA? Let us first discuss that, because that's also a very important thing.
Yeah.
Now, this is a bill which sets up a mechanism or proposes to set up a mechanism that, to say the least, is extremely dangerous and draconian. Okay? The opposition wanted withdrawal of the bill, as did several civil society organizations, minority institutions. I don't even want to go into the fact that even a member of the US Congress put out a statement condemning this bill. Now, what has happened? The government has very cleverly referred this to a joint committee of parliament. In the ordinary course, bills were, and I use the past tense with a sense of responsibility, in the ordinary course, bills were referred to standing committees and select committees of parliament. What we have seen, of course, I'm not saying that they have never been referred to joint committees. That also has happened. But the ordinary course would have been to refer them to a standing committee or to a select committee. What the Modi government has been doing in its third term particularly is bypassing parliamentary scrutiny through a standing committee and the select committee, which were the conventional routes, and setting up these jumbo joint committees of parliament, 31 members drawn from both houses, 21 from the Lok Sabha, 10 from the Rajya Sabha, across parties, always headed by a member from the ruling side. Whereas in the case of a standing committee, that is not how standing committees function. There is a division of, different committees where certain committees, important committees, are headed by members from the opposition. By nature, yes, the composition will always have a majority of the government side. But then the fact that that a standing committee is headed by, maybe headed by a member from the opposition,
No, so Puneet,
allows the opposition a certain, just a second, allows the opposition a certain sense of freedom and authority to push through its arguments. Right. The JPC, by its nature, will always have a member of the ruling side as the chairperson. It will anyway also have a majority of the ruling side. Now, in this particular case, of course, the FCRA bill, if at all, would have been referred to the Standing Committee for Home Affairs, because that is the ministry that is piloting the bill, which is anyway headed by a BJP MP, Mr. Radha Mohan Das Agarwal. But you're bypassing that. The moot point is not whether this bill has gone to a JPC and some other bill has gone to a standing committee. The moot point is of bypassing the convention of standing and select committees and going straight for JPCs, which have no meaning because the government anyway overrules anything that the opposition says, which is what we had seen with the Waqf Amendment JPC, which is what we are seeing currently happening within the JPC on one nation, one election, which is what we saw with the JPC that was set up on the data protection bill. In this stint, the third stint of the Modi government, in the last 2.5 years, 8 joint parliamentary committees have been set up. 8 of them. The last 2 stints, 10 years saw 10. 10 years, 10 JPCs. 2 years, 2.5 years have seen 8, and this will be the 9th.
Right. No, I'm glad that you brought up this point because it's something very significant, and I wanted to ask you that does it look like a prototype standard operating procedure of the BJP government whenever there is a legislative crisis, when they cannot get over the roadblocks or the hurdles or the sticky points in the bill, they conveniently send it to the JPC, and that becomes a safe haven for the government to wiggle out of that problem.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. See, the classic example ahead of you is of what happened with the Waqf Amendment. Okay? The opposition kept on saying that we are not being heard. There was, in fact, even a kind of physical altercation during a JPC meeting of the Waqf Amendment bill where Mr. Kalyan Banerjee was injured. And they kept saying that our views are not being heard, the consultations we're asking for are not happening. You're only calling people from a certain worldview of things for depositions. Anyone else who does not subscribe to the government's views on this bill is not being heard properly. All of that kept happening. Ultimately, the government prevailed. They made the bill even more draconian than what it was when it had first come before the JPC reference. And then by majority, it was passed. There is another JPC, Neelu, which is looking at the Constitution 130th Amendment Bill, which is to remove a sitting Prime Minister or Chief Minister or a minister who has been arrested and not been able to secure bail within 30 days of that arrest. There is a Constitution amendment on that, which has also been referred to a JPC. The situation with the JPC is that JPC does not have a single member from the Congress party. It does not have a single member from the DMK, from the Trinamool Congress, from the Samajwadi Party, from the RJD, because all these parties, given their experience in previous JPCs, had decided to boycott the JPC. For almost 4 months or 3 months, the government was not even able to constitute that JPC because the opposition said that what is the point of these JPCs when our views are not even going to be heard. So today, when you refer this FCRA to a JPC, what is the guarantee? 1, that the opposition will participate in it. 2, if it participates, its views will be incorporated into the bill. So what purpose does it serve? The trust deficit between the government and the treasury side anyway is much, much wider than ever before. And that is manifesting in different ways in the way the parliamentary committees function, the way the JPC functions, and the way the parliament itself functions.
Yeah. No, but where does it bring the government and the opposition now? What is the opposition now going to do? I'm sure opposition is already very aggressive, and repeatedly these two issues have been spoken about: the Ram Mandir, the Ram temple theft issue, the students' protest issue. These are the two issues which vociferously we've seen the opposition voicing on it. And now is this third issue now coming up of the FCRA bill being sent to the JPC. Where does it leave the government now, and where does it leave the opposition? What is the opposition going to do next?
See, as far as the FCRA bill is concerned, there's very little for the opposition to do because it has now been sent to a JPC. At best, the opposition can go to the people to explain what their problems with that bill are. Because it is a bill that basically, as I said earlier, is an extremely draconian bill. I'll give you just one example of what that bill proposes. This is a bill that is to regulate foreign contributions. Fine. We have seen over the last 12 years how the government has used this FCRA bogey to target NGOs, civil society organizations, individuals working in fields or sectors with a worldview that doesn't align with the worldview of the government. What this bill now proposes is that if a certain organization is receiving foreign contributions, they may have a license to receive foreign contributions. The government can revoke that license and then investigate, set up an authority. The authority investigates whether that foreign contribution that they have received and an asset that they may have created using that foreign contribution was valid or not. If the authority, which is set up by the government, decides that there has been wrongful use of foreign contributions, wrongful creation of assets, the authority can seize that asset, can take control of that asset. Now here, it doesn't just come into effect once the bill is passed. It comes into effect retrospectively. And then not only will that one asset be taken control of by the authority, the entire premises can be taken control of. So, for instance, say you are running a education institution and you receive, say, foreign contribution to build one hostel unit. Okay, one building for a hostel. The government finds that to be in violation. The government, through that authority, can take over the entire campus, not just that one building. It can take over the entire campus. And then in due course of time, if the investigation upholds a violation, that land, that asset, that building, that campus can be transferred to the government. It can also be sold by the government, and money taken from that can then be deposited into the Consolidated Fund of India. So it's that draconian that the opposition will then naturally now have to go and explain all of this to people. They're saying that this goes against a lot of minority institutions, Christian institutions, Islamic institutions which receive FCRA.
This conspiracy theory, Puneet, where people were saying that, under the American pressure, like the American Senator, Mr. Murray, had pointed this out, that, it will strain the relationship between India and America. So what about that? I mean, is it under the pressure of, is it under the American pressure also? They thought that let's put it in the cold storage. JPC, if it has gone?
Well, these are, as you said, conspiracy theories or speculations. There's no point going into, whether they are correct or not, because ultimately the bill has been sent to a JPC. And now we'll have to wait till the first week of the winter session to see whether the JPC gets an extension or whether the bill, whether it submits its report or not, because JPCs are also known to get extensions. So we'll have at least till the monsoon, till the winter session, till December, there is going to be some kind of quiet on this front. The other two issues that you talked about in terms of students protest, the police crackdown, and the other issue of Ram Mandir donation, the donation theft issue, these again now are a challenge that are for the opposition more than they are for the government. Because the government, as you know, and the BJP have a rather strong machinery in terms of spinning tales and yarns and disseminating them. The opposition has to now step up its game, go to the people repeatedly and explain why is it that it insisted on the Home Minister's statement. What is it that it wanted the Home Minister to come and explain? How it did not happen? And the larger issues of reforms, examination paper leaks, joblessness, which Rahul is raising through his Chhatron Ki Goonj issue campaign, and then also the Ram Mandir thing, because UP goes to polls early next year. This is a state where this is going to be a much bigger electoral issue. So the Samajwadi Party, the Congress Party will have to both go to the people and keep this issue alive, not allow the BJP to create diversions, to kind of gloss over this entire controversy. So, I mean, till not just the winter session, but till the UP elections, if they want to, use this as an electoral plank, it will have to be done in the court of the people. More than what they could have achieved in Parliament, perhaps.
Right. So you're saying that it makes it more challenging for the opposition because they will have to
Yes.
carry the message to the people, explain
And sustain
more,
it.
and sustain it as well. But one last question before I wind up the show, Puneet, what can we expect tomorrow? Now, when the Parliament meets, tomorrow is the last day, and is there a scope where we can see some sort of a thawing of the tensions which we have seen in the past few weeks?
I don't think so. And, given what we've seen over the last 3 weeks of this, last three and a half weeks of this session, I don't think there is any scope of the two sides meeting on common ground. Tomorrow, most likely, the House will be adjourned sine die very shortly after it meets at 11, because there isn't really any legislative business to push through tomorrow. And, the possibility of any kind of a debate or discussion happening tomorrow is also rather remote, or in fact ruled out.
Right. All right. So, as far as these issues are concerned, we've not seen the government explain as to why the police crackdown happened, who ordered the firing, of the pellet guns, AK-47. All those questions remain unanswered. As far as the Ram Temple issue is concerned, Puneet was absolutely right. Now it is for the opposition to go to the people, sustain the movement, explain how this happened. So it makes the task more challenging now for the opposition. And as far as the FCRA bill is concerned, it's gone to the JPC, which again, Puneet has explained it beautifully, how it has become a safe haven, JPC, for the BJP to wriggle out of any legislative crisis. So we'll have to see how these questions are answered. We don't know. And how the legacy media and the mainstream media now take it up, that is also something to watch out for. Let's see what happens today on the 9 p.m. prime time new programs on various news channels, how they go about discussing the issue. Thank you so much, Puneet, for joining on the Federal. Thank you.
Thank you.